It happened in 2009 with the revelation of the largest cave passage in the world. It's in Vietnam, and they call it Hang Son Doong, Mountain River Cave.
For years, a massive cave hidden deep beneath Vietnam's rugged landscape has fascinated explorers, scientists, and adventurers. Its enormous chambers, strange formations, and mysterious depths already seemed almost impossible, but what researchers discovered inside pushed that mystery even further. As scientists ventured deeper, they encountered features that challenged what we thought we knew about caves and the natural world. Some discoveries were breathtaking, while others raised questions no one expected. So what exactly did they find hidden inside this extraordinary underground world, and why does it seem to defy nature? The discovery that changed everything. Vietnam's Phong Nha Ke Bang region is one of those places that almost feels too strange to be real. Beneath its thick forests and towering limestone mountains lies Hang Son Doong, widely recognized as the world's largest known natural cave by volume. Stretching for nearly 9 kilometers, its passages are so enormous that parts of the cave can feel more like an underground landscape than a hole beneath the earth. But Son Doong's greatest mystery has never been its size alone. It is what scientists still cannot fully explain. For years, explorers have mapped its enormous chambers, studied its ancient limestone, followed its underground river, and documented the unusual life surviving inside. Each expedition revealed something new. Yet instead of answering every question, those discoveries seemed to create even more. Then scientists encountered something particularly intriguing. Deep inside Son Doong, an underground river disappeared into a flooded passage several kilometers from the entrance. Beyond that point, the water continued into darkness, and nobody knew exactly where the passage ended. That immediately raised an extraordinary possibility. Could Son Doong be connected to another cave system hidden beneath the mountains? If it was, the world's largest known cave could be even larger than scientists had realized. So, experienced cave divers eventually entered the flooded passage, determined to follow the underground river and discover where it led. But the deeper they went, the more difficult the journey became, and the cave still refused to reveal what was waiting beyond. The divers reached the limits of what they could safely explore, while the passage continued farther into the darkness. And suddenly, Son Doong was no longer simply a massive cave that scientists were trying to measure. It was an underground world that still had places humans could not reach. The deeper researchers looked, the more extraordinary the environment became. Hidden forests, unusual wildlife, underground water, ancient rock formations, and strange atmospheric conditions all revealed a place operating far differently from the surface world. Despite what is documented about Son Doong, scientists still feel there is more to explore about the mysterious cave. But when did the mystery first begin, and for how long have scientists been working to uncover it? Now, let's explore the forgotten entrance, the sealed world beneath the mountains. Reaching Hang Son Doong is an adventure long before anyone steps inside the cave. Deep within Vietnam's Phong Nha Ke Bang region, explorers must move through thick jungle, steep mountains, rivers, and rugged limestone terrain that can make even a simple journey feel like an expedition into the unknown. For decades, however, the cave was almost completely forgotten. The mystery began in 1990 when a local man named Ho Khan was traveling through the jungle during a storm. While searching for shelter, he discovered an opening beneath a towering cliff. What he noticed immediately was unusual. A cold wind rushed from the entrance, mist appeared around the opening, and somewhere below he could hear the powerful sound of an underground river. Khan did not enter. The conditions were difficult, and after leaving the area, the exact location of the entrance eventually faded from memory. Years later, British cave explorer Howard Limbert and his team were studying the region's geology. They believed the limestone formations around Hang En could conceal a much larger cave system. When Khan mentioned the strange entrance he had encountered years earlier, the explorers became determined to find it. But the jungle did not make that easy. Khan returned repeatedly, searching for the entrance until he finally rediscovered it in 2008. Then, in April 2009, he guided the British-Vietnamese expedition team back to the location. Once inside, the explorers encountered enormous chambers, underground rivers, towering formations, and huge openings where sections of the ceiling had collapsed, allowing the outside world to reach deep underground. Measurements eventually confirmed what seemed almost impossible. Son Doong was the world's largest known natural cave by volume. Yet its discovery did not mean its mysteries were finished. As scientists continued studying the cave, they found that its underground water system extended into places they could not immediately see. Ever since the entrance of the cave was discovered in 1990, scientists have been studying it. But it was only later that they discovered the underground water extended beyond their sight. But where could this passage lead to? And what efforts will be made to find out what lies ahead? Let's find out. The underground river that disappeared into darkness. Deep inside Son Doong, there is a mystery that cannot be solved simply by walking deeper into the cave. An underground river cuts through the enormous system before disappearing beneath Do Lin 1, more than 4 kilometers from the entrance. But where did the water go? Researchers suspected that this flooded passage might connect Son Doong with nearby Thung Cave, which lies roughly 600 meters away. If that hidden connection existed, it could add an estimated 1.6 million cubic meters to Son Doong, making an already gigantic cave even larger. There was only one way to test the theory. Someone had to go underwater. On March 31, 2019, Howard Limbert joined experienced cave divers Martin Holroyd, Rick Stanton, Jason Mallinson, and Chris Jewell for a dangerous attempt to explore the flooded passage. These were highly trained divers who had experience dealing with some of the world's most challenging underground environments. They entered the water and began descending into the darkness. As they went deeper, the conditions became increasingly difficult. Visibility was limited, the pressure increased, and the passage continued beyond what they could safely explore with the equipment available. Eventually, the divers reached a depth of around 78 meters. Measurements indicated that the passage extended to approximately 93 meters, but going farther was no longer considered safe. With standard air cylinders, they simply could not continue the dive, so the team had to turn back. And that decision left behind one of Son Doong's most intriguing, unanswered questions. The divers had not proven that the flooded passage connected Son Doong to Thung Cave, but they had discovered that the underground system continued beyond the point humans could safely reach. This was not a legend or a dramatic theory invented afterward. Experienced explorers had physically entered the passage, descended into its darkness, and reached a point where their technology and equipment could take them no farther. Beyond that boundary, the river continued, and somewhere in that darkness, its final destination remains unknown. Explorers went deeper into the flooded passage and reached a point where their equipment could not allow them to go any further. But what could lie beyond the point where the divers had to turn back, and where could this mysterious passage lead? Let's uncover the unimaginable details. The underground forest. Further inside Son Doong, explorers discovered something that completely changes the way people imagine a cave. Instead of endless darkness, enormous openings in the ceiling allow sunlight to reach deep beneath the Vietnamese mountains. These openings are known as dolines. They formed when parts of the cave roof collapsed over time, creating huge gaps that allowed sunlight, fresh air, and rainwater to enter the hidden world far beneath the surface. At Do Lin 1, sunlight reaches hundreds of meters into Son Doong, giving plants enough light to survive deep underground. But even that seems small compared with what explorers found at Dolin 2, the remarkable Garden of Eden, where a lush forest grows beneath the towering limestone mountains. Here, a strange underground forest has taken root. Trees rise toward the openings above. Ferns spread across the ground. Vines twist around rocks, while thick vegetation fills areas that would normally be completely dark. For a moment, it can feel less like entering a cave and more like stepping into a hidden valley that ended up underground. And Son Doong's enormous size creates another unusual effect. The cave contains huge amounts of moisture, while differences in temperature and airflow constantly move through its chambers. These conditions can create mist and cloud-like formations inside the cave itself. Think about that for a moment. Sunlight enters through the ceiling. Rivers move beneath the ground. Plants grow hundreds of meters below the surface. Mist drifts through enormous chambers, and tiny droplets can form in the air. It is almost as though a piece of the outside world has been sealed underground and developed its own environment. But aside from the plants, scientists have also documented animals specially adapted to life inside the cave. Some creatures live in areas where sunlight is almost completely absent. Others have developed unusual features, including reduced or missing eyes and pale or transparent bodies. The discoveries of scientists show that Son Doong is an entire underground ecosystem. But how have these creatures survived for so long? And what else could still be hiding from human view? Let's dive into the details. The ancient secrets preserved beneath Son Doong. The life inside Son Doong is remarkable for more than simply surviving underground. Over time, many of the organisms found there have developed features that help them cope with an environment where darkness, moisture, and isolation are part of everyday life. Biologists have identified more than 200 plant species in the cave, while researchers have also recorded creatures such as fish, woodlice, millipedes, spiders, and scorpions. Some of these animals show fascinating adaptations to permanent darkness. Certain species have reduced or missing eyes, while others have pale or almost transparent bodies. But the living creatures are only one part of what makes Son Doong scientifically valuable. The water inside the cave carries clues that reach much further back than human history. Near the fossil passage, researchers have discovered fossilized coral and other evidence showing that the landscape has changed dramatically over immense periods of time. There is also an underground lake where water temperatures have been recorded at roughly 17 to 20 degrees Celsius. For scientists, discoveries like these turn Son Doong into something far more important than a spectacular place for explorers. It becomes a natural record of Earth's past. The rocks preserve evidence of ancient environments that existed long before modern humans appeared. The fossils provide clues about how the region looked when its climate and geography were completely different from today. Meanwhile, water continues shaping the cave even now. For millions of years, rainwater and underground rivers have slowly dissolved the limestone, cutting passages deeper into the rock and creating the enormous chambers explorers see today. So inside Son Doong, two very different stories are unfolding at the same time. Life reveals how organisms can adapt to isolation. Fossils reveal what the environment looked like long ago. And the flowing water indicates that Son Doong is more than a cave. It is a living ecosystem, a geological archive, and a natural record of Earth's changing history, all hidden beneath the same mountain. Scientists were able to establish that numerous plants and animals inhabit the mysterious cave, surviving under rare conditions. But how long has this massive cave been in existence? And how did these enormous formations develop over the years? Let's find out. The strange geological features. Son Doong does not need any strange explanation to be extraordinary. Its geology alone is enough to leave scientists fascinated. The cave sits inside a massive limestone landscape that is more than 400 million years old, while Son Doong itself is believed to have formed around 2 to 3 million years ago along a fault in the Truong Sun Range. For millions of years, rainwater and underground rivers slowly dissolved the limestone, carving passages through the mountains. Eventually, parts of the cave roof collapsed, creating the enormous openings known as dolines, and allowing sunlight to reach areas far below the surface. But what the water created inside the cave looks almost unreal. Some stalactites and stalagmites have grown to enormous sizes. Other sections contain unusual calcite formations, fossil passages, and cave pearls formed as mineral-rich water slowly moved through the rock. Then explorers encountered one formation that would become legendary: the enormous calcite wall known as the Great Wall of Vietnam. During the first major expedition in 2009, the team reached this towering formation and suddenly faced a serious problem. They could not climb over it because they did not have the specialized equipment needed to continue safely. They could see light beyond the wall, but they had no idea what was waiting on the other side. The explorers returned in 2010 with proper climbing equipment. They finally scaled the massive formation and continued for another 400 meters before reaching the cave's exit. With that, the main mapping of Son Doong was completed. Yet this part of the story reveals something bigger than the cave itself. Exploration is not simply about discovering a place. It is about reaching the limits of what humans can see, measure, and understand. And even inside one of the world's most studied caves, there were moments when equipment and knowledge were not enough. It is proven that the cave sits within an enormous limestone massif that is more than 400 million years old. But what are the myths associated with this cave, and how should they be treated for a more knowledgeable understanding? Let's dive into the complicated details. The theories that have not been proven. As stories about Son Doong spread, the cave has become surrounded by claims that sound almost unbelievable. Some accounts mention unusual markings, strange underground signals, geometric patterns, and even possible connections between distant places. Some stories take the mystery even further, claiming that strange markings inside the cave resemble ancient forms of writing. Others suggest that mysterious signals detected deep underground may somehow be linked to distant locations thousands of kilometers away, raising even more questions. It is easy to understand why these ideas attract attention, but there is an important difference between something being fascinating and something being proven. At present, there is no established scientific evidence showing that Son Doong contains an artificial underground structure, that its formations were deliberately engineered, or that any mysterious signals are part of a hidden system created by an unknown civilization. The same caution applies to claims linking the cave to ancient civilizations or distant locations. Until independent researchers can examine the evidence and reproduce the findings, these ideas must remain theories rather than facts. And strangely enough, Son Doong does not need exaggerated stories to be extraordinary. There is already a genuine underwater passage whose full extent remains unknown. Some real animals and plants have adapted to life in isolation. There are fossils that preserve clues about Earth's distant past. There are enormous geological formations created over millions of years. And there are unusual temperature, moisture, and airflow conditions that can create mist and cloud-like effects deep underground. The real discoveries are already remarkable, so whenever a new claim appears, the most important question is not whether it sounds exciting. It is much simpler. Where is the evidence? That question matters because the deeper we explore Son Doong, the easier it becomes for genuine scientific discoveries and dramatic speculation to become mixed together. And separating those two may be just as important as discovering what lies beneath the mountain. It is important to stick to the proven facts about Son Doong Cave and treat other claims as speculation. But what should we believe about Son Doong for now? And can we ever know everything hidden beneath the surface of our world? Let's uncover the interesting details. The hidden world beneath Earth. After everything explorers have discovered inside Son Doong, perhaps the most remarkable conclusion is also the simplest. We still do not know everything about the world beneath our feet. Son Doong is genuinely enormous. It is genuinely home to a unique underground ecosystem. Its rivers, forests, geological formations, and adapted wildlife have all given scientists valuable information about how Earth changes over time and how life survives in extreme environments. The underground river remains a particularly powerful reminder of that uncertainty. Experienced divers descended into its flooded passage and reached depths they could not safely explore further. The suspected connection to Doong Cave remains an intriguing possibility, and a confirmed connection could add around 1.6 million cubic meters to Son Doong's volume. That alone is enough to show that even the world's largest known natural cave still contains unanswered questions. And that may be the real lesson behind Son Doong. The Earth is not as familiar as it looks from the surface. Beneath forests, mountains, and rivers are enormous systems that can remain hidden for thousands, sometimes millions of years. Some contain species we have never studied. Others preserve geological evidence from ancient periods. And some passages may remain inaccessible until technology becomes advanced enough to explore them safely. That does not mean every extraordinary story about Son Doong is true. Some claims remain unverified. Some theories may eventually be disproved. Others may lead scientists toward discoveries nobody expected. But that is exactly what makes genuine exploration so exciting. Scientists do not need to know the answer before they begin. They need a question. And Son Doong has provided plenty of them. The next expedition may discover another passage. It may reveal a new species. It may explain something that currently seems impossible. Or it may simply remind us that nature does not always need to look familiar to be real. Because somewhere beneath Vietnam's mountains, beyond the flooded passage where explorers were forced to turn back, there is still a part of Son Doong that humanity has not seen. And whatever is waiting there, one thing is certain: the world's largest known cave may still have secrets left to reveal. So what do you think about Son Doong? Could its greatest secrets still be waiting deep beneath the surface? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.